Generals. Oh, that's the wrong window. So first off, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I start making a game. So a game like this, where it's just me working on it, I kind of have to be a jack of many trades and take care of everything by myself, except whether I'm by myself or on a team, games all kind of start the same way with a lot of brainstorming and a lot of multiple iterations of drafts. So this draft that I have right here, I titled it Story Script Draft, but it's not just that. I also have a lot of bullet points of stuff I wanted to include, and I kind of used it as a grocery list as I was going through different iterations of the game. We're not going to sit here and read it because that's what playing the game is for, but I wanted to show this first edition so that y'all could see it's not, completely scripted out with like to the T dialogue that every character is going to say. Every single bit of text, it starts off as more of a general idea of like, oh, at security, okay, this is what we're going to do. I would also like to show the next thing I usually do is I do a bunch of different sketches on paper. We're getting multimedia up in here. Not everything is on the computer. And it's not the same for everyone. For me, I tend to get a better feeling of space when I start to do things on paper. And then I transfer them over to whatever programs I'm using. So once I've come up with the general flow of what the game is going to be like, since I kind of have a background in creating a lot of different visual aspects of the games, I like to just kind of dump out a lot of assets. And assets are basically every little Lego block that goes into the game. You can have audio assets, you can have graphical assets, you can have writing assets. It's just all of the ingredients of the game. And so I hope y'all can see this. I decided pretty early on I wanted to make the game in 2D because I'm a lot faster in 2D than I am in 3D. And so I basically spent a lot of my time cranking out backgrounds, foreground assets like this desk, just staging everything, figuring out how everything was going to fit together. This is only a subset of what I have, but these are the kind of things that I would have to make for it. And when you're making a game, in particular in Unity, which is what I used, you have to think in terms of scenes, almost as if you're directing a film or a play or something. And so some scenes are pretty heavy on the background, like this street scene, but then others have a lot more different set pieces and props, like a computer or something. And so once I've made all of these assets, I go into Unity. And this is Unity. I've been using Unity since I was a junior in high school, I think, but then I took kind of a 5-year hiatus from it since I last used it and now. So this is actually the first Unity project I've done in a while. So I did have to relearn some things. It's also changed a bit since I was younger. One of my setbacks actually came from updating it, which I'll get into more detail about later, but this is what Unity looks like. You have your hierarchy over here. This is basically everything that's in your scene. So anything that you can see or not see, but it's included in the scene is going to be in this list. And that's why you want to make sure you name everything accordingly, because I've definitely fallen into the trap of naming things ASDF or ASDFGH and then not knowing what I am looking for. So that's why I have things like, oh, main camera, bedroom, arrow to the right. Over here, you have the project and the console tabs, and you can also rearrange everything how you want, but I prefer this layout. Project has everything that you have in your folders that you can access for the game is going to be in here, and you can, expand and de-expand them. Over here is where you can select the assets that you're using. So the assets in question are scenes. So we have the bedroom scene where you start out. There's also a bus stop scene with my beautifully drawn picture of a bus. Number one thing I learned, I can't draw buses, so that's fun. Airport check-in counter. These are your scenes. Here's where I keep all my backgrounds. Here's all of my, or not all of them, but the ones that are used in the bedroom scene, because that's the last one I had open. Clickables, and the way you put them in is you drag and drop. It's pretty straightforward. A lot of game engines are like that. Unity is probably the one that's the most like that. And then packages are basically, how do I explain this? Packages are basically a huge suitcase of things that all need to work together to make the game not break. So if you have packages that you're using, you want to make sure that those are backed up and nice, and otherwise you're going to have a bad time. So that's what these packages are. And then the console is where you see a basically rundown of messages of what's happening when you try to run the game. So it'll say like when things are loaded, it'll tell you any errors, any warnings. Like right here, it says that player start has no camera on start. That's false. There is a camera. I don't know why it's doing that. That's one of the bugs I gotta fix. It's been like that since day one. To this day, I've not figured it out, but I've also still been able to run the game. So that's why it's a yellow triangle with an exclamation point instead of a red hexagon, because the red hexagon ones, which right now I have 0, those are the game breaking ones. We don't want those, but yellow triangles you can sometimes get away with. Then over here, let me just move some faces a little bit. Over here is where I like to keep the inspector. So the inspector is where you would, if you click on something, you would see all of the properties of it and all of the settings that you can have for it. So right now I have the background of the scene, or actually let me click on this hotspot. These hotspots are a little more fancy than backgrounds. So this hotspot is something that you have to click on in order to get something to happen in the game. And so over here in the inspector, you can see all the properties like the position, the rotation and scale. You can also edit them right in here. There's the box collider, which is the symbol that signifies the hotspot. There's different interactions like use, examine, inventory interactions. Right now there's only use because if you click on this one, all you have is like someone comes and tells you like, oh, you should check in to your flight. Haha. Over here is the Adventure Creator game editor. So AC stands for Adventure Creator. I knew pretty early on I wanted this game to be a point and click adventure, and Unity has a plugin for that called Adventure Creator, which is great because it makes it a whole lot easier to organize all of your things like, you know, clickable hotspots, your logic, dialogue. It's a lot better than if I wanted to just completely build something from the ground up to be a point and click game. Other games like a platform or something, it's a whole different story to like build from the ground up. But this one, since I like had a lot of things that I wanted to keep organized, that's what I wanted to do. That's why I wanted to use Adventure Creator. So within Adventure Creator, there's different things, different properties you can look at, like your scenes, your settings, actions, variables, inventory stuff, speech, cursor, menu. Some of these are more into like making it all fancy and polished, which is a stretch goal for me because right now I don't like the way the text looks, but it's legible, so we're going with it. But if I wanted to, for example, change the text, I would change that in here. And then over here, so I don't have any action lists selected, but if I were to click on this and go over here, so the action list editor is basically how you get things to work when you click on them. So this hotspot in particular is meant to play a line of dialogue and then change the scene to where you go after you check in to your flight. So if you click on here, you do these two actions in order. So the first one is to play a speech, which is where the agent says a thing to you, and then it's supposed to change scene to the next scene. So yeah, that's kind of showing what it looks like under the hood. I would actually like to bring this up because one of the bug that I fixed this morning is that none of my scenes were switching when I wanted to play. It's like, what? This is going to be terrible for my presentation. I don't want that. And then, as it turns out, the reason that they were not changing was because I didn't do it. Somehow, the scenes got unchecked in my build settings, which is something that you have to take care of when you're like actually building the game to be in a playable state. The scenes were there, their checkboxes were unchecked. So I don't know how that happened, but I checked them and it worked. So moral of the story, game dev is all trial and error all the time. So without further ado, let's go through a walkthrough of the game. Gonna get to the right. Oh, do I want to say? Yeah, let's go to a walkthrough of the game. And I will ask for some participation. Actually, let me maximize on play. I will ask for some participation. So if you'd like to participate, please turn your microphones on. So you wake up to your alarm clock ringing and take a look at your calendar. Great news! It's the day of your trip to Hawaii. Not so great news, you fell asleep before you could finish packing. You're still missing 5 important items. Click on them. So, can anyone look around the room? Tell me what items you think we should carry on our trip to Hawaii.
Passport.
Passport?
Wait, is that a passport on the bed or on the desk?
Oh, on the desk. Yes. But your passport, can't get on the plane without this. Yeah, you got it. Passport was one of them. But
gotta get this.
For asking if that was a passport on the bed, I should make that look a little more recognizable. So
is it a
actually,
phone?
Sophie, it's interesting because the U.S. passport is blue, so that's why I just kind of assumed that it was a passport.
Oh,
but
okay.
I don't know.
So I did actually look up Japanese passports that are valid for 10 years are red, and for 5 years are black. I didn't think black would show up very well, so I went with the red one. But it's interesting that you bring that up.
So wait, what's on the bed then? Is that a phone?
Yep, it's your mobile phone, and it's your mobile phone. You need to stay connected. So now we have 2 items.
Kelly.
Ideas in the chat as well.
Oh, there's some
sunglasses.
Tina.
Sunglasses. Sunglasses. It's going to be very sunny by the beach. If you want, I can like move the mouse around.
Tina says, "Bring the bear."
Yeah, we've got a request.
Giant teddy bear is probably happier at home. It's too big.
There's a request for the goldfish.
The goldfish?
Yeah.
Your pet fish. Your friend promised to feed the fish while you're away. So right now we have 3 out of 5 items.
Is that a dictionary maybe or something up there?
Yep, it's your dictionary, travel dictionary. It's always smart to have one of those.
Can you bring the window?
Windows. I tried to also make like background items have a gray outline, but maybe that doesn't read quite.
No, that's great. That's great. Calendar?
Calendar. Your calendar. You have one that has on.
Very true.
Computers. I don't want to take that, do we? Yeah.
Your computer. It's a little too big to pack.
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen? Sunscreen. You don't want a sunburn. Yep. So that's all 5 items. So now you can exit the room. That seems like everything. Time to leave for the airport. The bus stop is west from here. So now just wait for it to load. One of the things I'm working on is load time also. So if it seems a little slow, I'm working on it. So west from here, we're at the street scene. To the left, yeah, go west. The others say go north and go east, and if you try to click on them, they're like, not this way. Stretch goal is to have like more of a maze like component to it, where you could get lost and end up back at your
Oh,
bedroom, but
It's really
that was lower on the priority totem. So if you go west, this looks like the bus stop. Right, beautiful bus.
also, it is a beautiful bus.
cool. Yeah, it looks
Oh,
good.
well, thank
for the
you.
record.
I think it looks cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can get on the bus. Let's go to the airport. You go to the airport. Where do you think you should go first?
What happens
We
if
all
you
forgot.
security?
I
Go to security.
was gonna say
What
all
if we
forgot how
don't
to
have
travel.
anything to?
True.
Do we have luggage?
Well, you just packed your luggage. So
Yeah, but when I
you
pack
try
my
to go-
luggage, I bring a backpack and I like don't.
That's
take
true.
any
Yeah,
pictures.
that is true. That is true. Should maybe be a little more clear in the writing that you've got a giant suitcase. If you try to go to security, it tells you like you should check your bags first. So that's right. You should check your bags first. So you're over here. You check in. The agent says, "I can print your ticket. Your gate is C21. Have a nice flight." And then you go to security. To go through security, the officer says, "Please take off your shoes. Remove any metal objects from your pockets. Enjoy your trip." You made it through security. It's time to find your gate. So, does anyone remember what the attendant told us?
C21.
C21. Great. All right. Awesome. You made it. You're just in time to board the plane. So, this is one of the bugs I was talking about.
Oh, no.
This scene was supposed to change to a gate scene where there's a desk up here with a screen that says like, "Oh, departure to Hawaii on time." There's a gate attendant who says, "Enjoy your flight, have a safe trip." And this arrow that says "board to the plane" is supposed to show you the gate. You did it. Time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the flight. The end. And the game is supposed to end right now. Okay, so that works at least. This is what that scene looks like. So it does exist, but for some reason it doesn't want to change. I think my theory is that the values of where I have everything. So you know how sometimes in like PowerPoint and stuff you can order different items so that they're either arranged at the front, arranged at the back, something like that. So Unity has that as well. I think if I were to change the values, like the order and layer, it would fix that. The thing is, I have tried many different values and it is still not fixed that. So, something to think about. Last time when I tried to build this, it did change to the right scene, except it still kept the arrows from the old scene. So, again, bugs are everywhere and existence is a pain, but things will be fixed just again with trial and error. Another bug that I would like to bring up is that when I updated Unity, it corrupted a lot of my files. So I had to re-put a lot of different things in, which wasn't too bad, except I lost the functionality of my inventory. So I did have it as a thing where you can check your plane ticket and see what your gate was if you forgot, or where you would have to pull out your passport for the security guard. That did not end up being feasible for the time of this presentation, so I ended up disabling it entirely because it would just break things. So I need to, again, go in under the hood. Maybe I need to go into some of the actual code again of the game, because these things should not keep happening, and I want them to stop, so I'm going to stop them. And then A stretch goal I would like to talk about is I did originally have an entire different sequence happening in the airport where once you get through security, you get hungry, and so you want to buy snacks that are within your budget. But since I was addressing a lot of bugs, I didn't have enough time to put that in the game. I have it completely scripted. It's ready to go. It just is not in there yet. And it provides a little more freedom of choice than, oh, you can't go to security right now, because you get to choose what you eat, what you drink. Then you have to find a bathroom before you explode. So that's fun. But alas, that cannot be included in this iteration of the game. But when the game is up on the website, it will be included in there. The goal behind the game was just to have, a neat little 5 to 10 minute adventure in English with some travel words that would be helpful if students were going through an airport. So, like find your gate, passport, security officer, baggage claim, words like that they would want to be able to recognize. It's fairly easy, so that a lot of different levels could play it. But yeah, that was the goal behind making this game. Also, I just wanted to make a game, so I made a game.